Subarus evolve slowly, so slowly in fact that at a glance it's sometimes hard to tell one generation from the next, but the 2025 Forester has seen a dramatic update offering more passenger space and a quieter ride than the previous model. And while it might look more modern, it's still recognizable as a Forester. As for Kia, for 2026, the Sportage has been significantly redesigned trying to tame its front fascia. With a refresh focused on tech and style, the Sportage continues to lean on its spacious interior, generous list of standard features, and solid value to make it a competitive player. But which one is a better buy? In this video, we'll compare both SUVs' designs inside and out, pricing, and how they drive. So without any further ado, let's just jump into it. The new Forester has been completely redesigned. A massive new grille dominates the front end, while the old C-shaped headlights are now replaced by the trendy thin LED daytime running lights at the top and lower main beam setup at the bottom that we are seeing in many SUVs these days. On the side, gone are the round wheel arches and swoopy body lines of the 2024 models, and replacing them are boxy wheel arches, sharp lines on hard edges. The tall greenhouse, however, is still present, making it look much more familiar. At the rear, the taillights have been redone and almost pinch into the trim piece spread across the entire tailgate. The rest looks fairly generic, though the exhaust cutout just looks awkward and just out of place. As for the Sportage, its update is a complete departure from the current model with a redesigned grille that's slightly bigger than the previous generation, flanked by chunkier new vertical LED headlights with a new DRL lighting signature replacing the outgoing model's boomerang-shaped ones, giving the front end a more aggressive look. From the side, not much has changed, and that's totally fine. The Sportage already has a great looking side profile, so that really didn't need any updates. As for wheels, it comes standard with 17 inches, with 18s and 19s optional. Out back, it sees even smaller changes, mainly revised taillight styling with more vertical elements, in addition to smaller tweaks to the lower parts of the bumper to make the back end seem wider than it was in the previous generation. While the new Forester looks more modern than the previous generation, at least personally, it just doesn't hold a candle to the new 2026 Sportage design. Jumping inside, there are no surprises in the Subaru. The Forester's cabin looks just like every other one from the last 5 years. The materials used throughout, however, have been improved over the old one. The shield-shaped space of the touchscreen and center air vents, along with the fade-away hexagonal pattern ahead of the passenger, is basically all Subaru could muster for design. But when it comes to functionality, the Forester delivers with large door pockets and plenty of storage space. The infotainment system is again very familiar. While a 7-inch touchscreen is standard on the base model, high trims get an 11.6-inch screen. Neither are pretty nor are they quick, and both wash out in sunlight. But the interface is easy enough to use and include wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. The cluster still rocks analog gauges with no digital variant being offered. As for the Sportage, this generation is more refined. The dash now has a cleaner look that ditches the vertical air vents in favor of horizontal ones that blend better within the dashboard, in addition to a new flat-edge steering wheel replacing the previous model's round 3-spoke one. Personally, the steering wheel is the only change to my eyes that's a downgrade to a really good-looking cabin. As for instruments and infotainment, a new panoramic display now features dual 12.3-inch displays combined into a single panel that curves slightly towards the driver. These are now standard on every trim instead of being optional on the previous year's model. Wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are standard and now can integrate into a new 10-inch head-up display. As far as interiors go, the Sportage again just blows the Subarus out of the water, not only in terms of looks, but especially in its tech offering. When it comes to interior and cargo space, the new Forester offers plenty of space up front. While the seats are all new with more aggressive thigh and shoulder bolsters, they feel a bit flat. The back seats are just as spacious with plenty of headroom and legroom, though the base model lacks rear air vents. Cargo space is also decent, with 27.5 cubic feet available when the rear seats are up, or 69.1 cubic feet with them folded flat. As for the Sportage, the front seats are good with ample side support, and it's easy to get comfortable behind the wheel, with similar space to that of the Forester. The second row is spacious too, with comfy cushions and fantastic overall space, with 2 inches extra legroom compared to the Subi. As for cargo space, it's quite a bit larger than that of the Foresters at 40 cubes with the seats up, folding flat, and you get 74 cubic feet. As far as pricing goes, the 2025 Forester base starts at $29,995, but the trim level to get is the Sport trim that combines a good mix of equipment, appearance, and price, and it comes standard with the larger 11.6 touchscreen, 19-inch bronze alloy wheels, and keyless access. Next is the Limited at $36,410, while the Touring model starts at $40,300. Pricing for the 2026 Kia Sportage is expected to start around $29,500 and go up to $41,000. But the mid-range EX offers the best bang for the buck, adding desirable features such as dual-zone climate control, wireless phone charging, and heated front seats. The premium package is also a very worthwhile option, adding a panoramic sunroof, LED interior lighting, and a power liftgate. As you can tell, there is not much difference in terms of cost, so which one you end up choosing will mainly come down to styling and how they actually drive. When it comes to on-road performance, under the hood of the 2025 Forester is the same old 2.5-liter flat-4 engine mated to a CVT transmission with a meek 180 horsepower and 178 pound-feet of torque, which makes it the least in this class. Without a turbocharger, the Forester just feels gutless, struggling to deliver excitement. Peak torque arrives at a sluggish 3,700 RPM, leaving the engine feeling underwhelming when you need it the most. The CVT does its best to compensate, holding the revs high during hard acceleration, but the result is more noise than action, a coarse, growly soundtrack without any actual speed. There is a reason other competitors are switching to 2-liter Turbo 4s. This powertrain ultimately disappoints, standing out as the car's Achilles heel. And that's a real shame because the rest of the new Forester shines as a generally pleasant companion for everyday life. It may not have any jaw-dropping features, but it effortlessly comes together as a well-rounded crossover. Whether you are tackling the school run, embarking on a long road trip, or venturing off-road, the Forester proves itself as a reliable, versatile choice, if only the engine could actually match the rest of its charm. The 2026 Sportage also suffers from the same powertrain issues, a 2.5-liter naturally aspirated inline-4 producing 187 horsepower and 178 pound-feet of torque. This engine simply doesn't have the vigor to move this SUV with a desired oomph. But once you're up to speed, it's fantastic on highways and city roads alike. There is enough give to the sidewalls and the 19-inch tires to take the sting out of bigger bumps, while the suspension's dampening is finely judged, smoothing out any unwanted nastiness. It's also impressively quiet, with very little road or wind noise making its way to the cabin. The brake pedal is also pleasantly progressive despite featuring hybrid regeneration. Typically, handling isn't that important in a compact SUV purchase, but the Sportage actually handles pretty good. It has a nice natural steering curve and great feedback from its assisted rack. The steering weighs up nicely in corners and never feels too disconnected, almost surprising in an otherwise ordinary car. Here is the long and short of it. Both SUVs are very attractive in their own rights, but when it comes to style both inside and out and driving, the Sportage just outcompetes the Forester hands down. But if off-road prowess is something important to you, then the Forester is your pick here.